All right, what is up, real life traders? It's Robert Falco here from Real Life Trading, here to talk to you about a new IPO that is pricing today and is IPOing tomorrow that I know quite a few real life traders are interested in, including myself. I put in for a couple hundred shares. We'll see if I get them. The last couple that I've tried to get through TD Ameritrade, I've not gotten allocated any shares, so we'll see if it happens this time. But it is iFit. So first thing I want to do is whenever you're looking at a new IPO, you want to pull up their S1. So you can just Google search it or go to the sec.gov. You're going to pull up their S1 filing here so that you can get some basics about the company. Probably want to look at their homepage. Again, this is iFit, so I think everybody pretty much knows or has heard of some of their brands. Nordictrack is probably the biggest one. So Nordictrack, I think everybody knows, if they've been on a treadmill, what Nordictrack is. And Proform, they make a lot of fitness equipment that you see at gyms. Weider is one of the popular brands that's been in gyms for a very, very long time. And then they also have Free Motion, which is relatively new. 29029, which was a company started by Jesse Itzler and Colin O'Brady, that myself, Matt, and Jeremy have all been to their events, and they recently were purchased by iFit, and it's a pretty cool event, so that's what kind of clued us in on this one. And then Sweat, which is some digital fitness, and then their iFit program, kind of like Peloton, that has programmable workouts and everything into some of their machines. So let's jump on into some of their specifics. If you go into their S1, I think this one should have a proposed aggregate offering price. So this tells you that it looks like they're going to raise a potential of 100 million. You're going to have some Class A common stock. It doesn't look like it's updated with the price because it's supposed to price today. The range, I think, was $18 to $20 or 21. So let's say like 19.50. It's probably the mid range. By the way, this treadmill goes up to like a 45-degree incline, which I think is higher than any other treadmill out there. And we're going to roll in some B-roll from 29029. They actually did a commercial while Jeremy and I were at the Idaho event, and Colin was up on this thing. And then one of the gals from iFit, they filmed her climbing up the mountain. So you can actually do the same climb on the actual treadmill, which is pretty amazing that it can go up to that percent of incline. So their mission is to improve fitness and well-being. We know that that's super important. They have 6.1 million members, and their community is actively growing. Here are some just basic stats. Again, in the S1, you usually find like one-pagers, things like that. 1.5 million plus interactive fitness subscribers, 120 countries, 9 fitness modalities. I like that word, modalities. 10.1 million interactive fitness products sold in fiscal year 2021, and then 2.8 billion plus gross revenue. Gross merchandise value / 1.7 billion total revenue. I think their fiscal year is actually over. So we looked at their website. The thing I want to go take a look at, here's a breakdown of their revenue by brand. Let me zoom in on this. I think I can hit control and zoom in a little bit. Yeah, so Nordictrack makes up 53%. That's their biggest brand. So that's the one you've probably heard of, as I mentioned before. Weider. Can't remember how it should be pronounced. Weider is what I remember, but iFit subscriptions, 13%. Free Motion, 1%. I think that's the newest. And then Proform, 27%. So they have direct to consumer and multi-channel distribution. So not only can you buy, obviously, a Nordictrack and have it set up at your house, but if you go to a gym, they probably have either Nordictracks or I see a lot of the Proform, especially on bikes and things. And then one thing that was really cool that I saw is their CAGR, their compounded annual growth rate. So total fitness subscribers growing from approximately 103,000 to 1.1 million over the last 4 years. That represents a compounded annual growth rate of 81.3%. That's pretty cool. Total number of workouts on our platform grew from 12.1 million during fiscal 2019 to 34.1 during fiscal year 2020, representing 181% growth. Now, obviously, the 2021 fiscal year, so like 2020 to 2021, it's going to include COVID. A lot of gyms were shut down. I know there's some people going back to gyms, but there's also a lot of people that they've discovered working out at home and they really, really like it. So is all of this going to stay? Maybe, maybe not. I think that's definitely a risk to go in the risk bucket if you want to invest in this company. But in fiscal year 2021, our members participated in 112 million workouts, reflecting a growth of over 229% year over year. We generated a total revenue 700 million 851 during fiscal year 2019 and 2020, and then an increase of 21.7%. And so 1,745 million is millions is 1,745 million in fiscal 2021, 104% increase. So again, a lot of that was during COVID. Is that going to stick? Maybe, maybe not. Probably not all of it, but I do think that a good chunk of it definitely could. And you can see that their net losses has grown as we get in a little bit more. You can see though that the marketing money that they're spending, I think they're, for every dollar they're spending in marketing, they're getting back $1.40, what I believe it was, in revenue. And investors really like that, because if I can just give you dollars and you bring back $1.40 in revenue, why wouldn't I do more and more and more of that? Now, obviously, at a certain point, there's some diminishing returns, but it shows that they're spending the money well in order to grow and generate revenue. So I thought that was pretty cool. Talks a little bit about the households that they're servicing. Let me zoom back out here and then go through. Let's get to some of the numbers. If you've never read through an S1, this thing I think is like 100 pages, so we won't go through all of them, but I want to make sure that I go through and look for some of the concrete numbers that are already there. Here we go. So here's the consolidated financial and other data. So you can see here, total revenue from 669 to 851 to 1.7 billion. I think that's pretty good growth there. Obviously, their gross profit has increased as well. So that's pretty cool. Subscription, again, is a small number, but is representing, this right here, that's pretty much 100% growth. So that's pretty cool from a subscription standpoint, which, let's say you buy a treadmill, like you're not buying a treadmill over and over again. So the subscription revenue is important, because at a certain point, there's only so many treadmills each person is going to buy out there. And you can see they are operating at a net loss. It is a growth company though, and they obviously did some acquisitions. I don't think it says in here how much the 29029 acquisition was. Consolidated balance sheet, so cash and cash equivalents. This is as of May 31st, 2021. This is in thousands, so it's 146 million. There's working capital, total assets, long-term debt. So not a ton of long-term debt. Deferred revenue. So it's always nice for them to have some deferred revenue. And when you go in and see risk factors, you're going to get a whole litany of things that they could say, hey, this is a risk or a threat to the business. So it's kind of meant to scare you a little bit, because there's all kinds of things that they're going to bring up in here. And through the IPO process, they have to disclose a lot of that, which definitely is much better in the IPO process than through SPACs, but just so that you can find some of that there. So if you've never read through an S1, I definitely recommend it. Again, it's very long in here, so I'm just going to flip over to one of the articles that it talks about. That talks about it, because they consolidated a lot of information. This is on capital.com. The CEO, Scott Watterson and Gary Stevenson, he's still with the company. He founded it in 1977. So I think that's pretty cool. They didn't just start up, last year or anything. And the CEO is still there, who started the company. They acquired Proform Fitness in 1988. So that's obviously been doing well if they've kept it. It was then sold to private equity, Bain Capital, in 1994 and renamed Icon. And then in June of 2021, the group rebranded itself as iFit. Today, the group manufactures interactive fitness and offers subscription, which provide on-demand and personalized digital workout content. So Scott and Gary started the company. They sold it to Bain Capital, but they're still running it. And then now it's going through an IPO process. So they stuck with the company. The new owners obviously still like these guys and kept them around. There's several fitness brands under the group, and has completed an acquisition of Sweat, digital fitness platform. 29029, which again, Matt, Jeremy, and I have been to. It's where you hike the equivalent of Mount Everest, 29,029 feet within 36 hours. They do them in Utah, Vermont, as well as Idaho. That was founded by Colin O'Brady, world record holder for climbing the 7 tallest peaks in the world in the fastest amount of time. Jesse Itzler, who was, if you don't know Jesse's story, was a rapper. Also has a couple books out there, Living with Monks. The book about living with the seal with David Goggins. His wife started and currently still runs Spanx. He sold multiple companies, one of which was to Berkshire Hathaway for the private planes. I forget the name of it, but it's a very, very cool event. Very, very cool. Nothing like it that I've ever been to. And I'm pretty impressed with it. And so, yeah, I was excited that that's going public now that it's owned by iFit. Again, it's probably a very small portion of the revenue for this company, but it is kind of cool. So again, there's that pie chart breakdown of the revenue. And here is where 54% of its revenue generated through retail partnerships. So it's not just direct to consumer, but also through Amazon, Best Buy, Dick's Sporting Goods, Costco, Canadian Tire, Rebel Sports, and Decathlon. 44% through its own websites, and the remaining 2% through key relationships in the commercial channel, including Orange Theory Fitness and 24 Hour Fitness. So that's pretty cool. They sell iFit subscriptions to customers either on a month-to-month or annual basis. $15 a month for individuals or $39 for a family. That seems pretty reasonable to me. And let's see here. Here's their consolidated revenues. We talked a little bit about that. The other thing I wanted to mention was that, yeah, so here's the price range, $18 to $21. It's a Utah-based company set to IPO on October 6th. That's tomorrow. So today we should get the final pricing at some point today, if not overnight, and then tomorrow morning. So here's what they're going to use the money for. $465 million will be used to for general corporate purposes. $35 million make a required payment to CEO Scott Watterson, again still there, had founded the company, and $57.3 million if the underwriters exercise. Okay, so there's more that they can exercise to purchase additional shares in full to make a cash payment, which together with the issuance of new convertible notes will repay some of their old debt. So basically like refinancing some debt. And it's going to price at a better valuation, it looks like, than Peloton. So if you take 6.2 billion and then you divide that by their revenue, which is 1.7, I think it's like 3.5. So 3.5 price of sales. If we come over and look at Peloton right now is at 6.18. Again, their sales is higher at 4 billion, and obviously the market cap. So it's about a fourth of the market cap with about a third of the revenue. So you're getting a little bit better price from a price to sales standpoint from iFit versus Peloton. And that is with Peloton obviously has traded down quite a bit in the last month or so / few weeks, and it looks like it might continue going lower. So that's their main competitor. I'm going to take a shot at it, not a ton, couple hundred shares. We will know tomorrow where it actually prices and opens, but could be a stock that you look into. So if you like that information, comment down below if there's any other IPOs that you would like us to look at. I think it sounds pretty cool, so we'll see what happens. And don't forget to love life, live life, trade it. Thanks, everyone.